The square sun rose above the pixelated hills, casting warm golden light over the small village below. Everything looked calm and familiar. Villagers working, animals grazing, and the faint clinking of hammers echoing through the air. In a corner of the village, Steve, cheerful as always, was building a wooden wall. It leaned slightly to one side, but he didn't seem to mind. Beside him, Alex watched with a patient frown, quietly fixing every crooked plank that Steve placed. Not far away, Endy, a small enderman with bright, curious eyes, was watering his little magic flowers. Tiny purple blooms that shimmered faintly in the sunlight. It was a morning like any other, until the ground began to tremble. Dust fell from the unfinished wall. The sound of work faded. Then from across the eastern fields, a faint beam of violet light shot upward into the sky. The three froze. None of them spoke. There was something strange in the air, as if the world itself had just taken a breath after 1,000 years of silence. They followed the glow. The wind grew colder as they approached the field. At the center, the grass had parted, revealing a shallow crater, and there, floating just above the ground, was a small cube of light. It hovered gently, spinning in silence. The glow wasn't harsh, it was warm, alive, as if the block itself were breathing. Steve stepped closer, curiosity shining in his eyes. Alex's gaze was sharp, cautious. Endy stayed behind, clutching his flowers, unsure whether to run or watch. The cube pulsed once. A low hum filled the air, soft and distant, like a whisper carried by the wind. Then without hesitation, Steve reached out his hand. The moment his fingers touched the surface, the world exploded with light. A surge of energy rippled through the ground. The wind roared and the light spread in spirals around them. When it faded, the cube was gone, dissolved into Steve's hand, leaving a faint glowing mark shaped like a spiral. For a few seconds, no one moved. The field was silent again, but something ancient had awoken, and it had chosen him. The light of day dimmed. Clouds rolled in from the horizon, tinted purple and gray. A chill crept through the air. From the edge of the forest came movement, slow, heavy, unnatural. Creatures of shadow emerged, their shapes twisted and flickering, as if they were carved from smoke. Where they stepped, the grass turned black and the earth cracked beneath their feet. The villagers screamed. Doors slammed shut, panic spread. Steve stood frozen, his marked hand still faintly glowing. As the creatures drew nearer, something within him stirred. A whisper, a feeling, an instinct. He pressed his hand to the ground. Light burst outward. Cubes of pure energy shot up from the soil, locking together into a wall of glowing blocks around the village. The monsters struck the wall once, twice, but each impact sent flashes of light surging back at them. The sound grew until a final wave of brightness pushed the creatures away like smoke in the wind. And then, silence. The light dimmed. The wall stood, cracked and glowing softly. Steve sank to his knees, exhausted. His arm trembled, the glowing mark fading slowly. The village was safe, at least for now. As dust settled over the field, another sound broke the stillness. Slow footsteps, deliberate and heavy. A tall figure emerged from the haze. His cloak moved like smoke in the wind. Hair silver as moonlight, eyes deep as stone. Elder Brine, the guardian of forgotten lore. He stopped in front of Steve and studied the faint spiral on the young man's arm. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then the old man raised his hand. A shimmering holographic map appeared. Floating between them, 5 glowing symbols: wood, sand, ice, fire, and light. Elder Brine turned his gaze toward the northern forest, where shadows met sunlight. He pointed. A journey awaited. Before leaving, his voice drifted through the air, deep and calm, like thunder in the distance. Power alone means nothing. Only the heart can decide how it will be used. And just as suddenly as he appeared, he was gone, a blur among the wind and dust. Morning returned. Golden light poured once more over the village, washing away the traces of battle. Steve stood at the edge of the road, his eyes fixed on the horizon. The mark on his arm had faded to a soft glow, pulsing like a heartbeat. Beside him, Alex tightened her backpack. Endy held his tiny flowers, trying to look brave. The wind carried the scent of grass and adventure. Ahead lay the green forest, where the first fragment of the ancient power was said to rest. Behind them, the villagers watched in silence, proud, fearful, hopeful. As the 3 friends stepped forward, the sun broke free from the clouds. The world felt alive again, and somewhere far beyond the hills, a faint purple shimmer rose, a reminder that light and darkness had only just begun their dance.